The opinions expressed on this program are those of the program host and guest and are not necessarily those of this station, management, staff, and sponsors. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time now for the Crown Car Care Show. Call in with questions and comments, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. Now, here's your host.
Summer's over and hurricane season's with us. Believe it's raining everywhere.
Yeah, well, summer's definitely not over.
It's hurricane season.
Yes.
Get your generators, batten up the windows.
Yeah, batten the hatches.
Buy water, get cans of gasoline.
Right.
That's what's going on. Open up the shelters. Hurricanes are coming.
I hope not, but
Well, here they are.
so recently I was reading it. Funny you should mention that because I just read an article yesterday, and the Hurricane Prediction Center out of Colorado,
Yes.
which I have no understanding in my mind why somebody in Colorado wouldn't.
Yeah. Do they have hurricanes out there?
Don't think so.
They
Anyway,
have snow.
but they revised downward the hurricane prediction because originally they said about 23, 24 named storms.
Yes.
And they says, yeah, no, not so much now because we're too far down the trail
Oh.
of hurricane season with just, what we're up to Debbie, right?
Yeah.
So
Has Debbie been? Is it Debbie?
that was a category 1 when it hit landfall here.
Is
in
that
Florida.
high? Is that bad or not that bad?
Category 1 is the weakest, but it was a big, strong rain event.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So, and in the Gulf area,
Yeah.
when you have high tide and hurricane in a shallow body of water like a Gulf,
Yeah.
pushing that water ashore, so you can be several feet over high tide with a hurricane making landfall. So not a happy
Ooh.
experience for those of them.
When I hear Gulf, I think of Gulf of Tonkin. Isn't that something,
Oh,
a military thing or something?
Well, it was. I think that was during Vietnam.
The Gulf of Tonkin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, hopefully we won't have any hurricanes here where we're at.
Well, let us pray. We
Well,
pray
we're in
every week at church.
Well, we're
about
in
that.
what they call a skiff here at World Central.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, of course.
we're in a soundproof booth. A skiff.
A skiff. I think that's what they put the president in
That's
in
right.
times
With
of bad time. When they have to hide him away. It's a skiff.
nice.
I don't know what it means.
Actually, that's a skiff is a location, as I understand it, where they can share sensitive information with make sure that no prying eyes can see.
That
or
sounds
hear.
like here because we
Yes.
get breaking news all
We
over the
do.
world through
We do.
electric cars and automobiles. And
I love your segue.
yeah,
I love your
thinking
segue.
of that. Any news that you can give me?
Sure. The couple things. Cadillac is working to elevate its luxury brand with bespoke, which one of your favorite words, vehicles curated and curate the experience. So they want the owners to feel more involved, I believe, in the customization of their vehicle.
If you want my opinion,
Mhm.
Lincoln went by the wayside. I
Yes.
believe Cadillac's not
Soon to
it's
follow.
Just not gonna,
Yeah.
It's not going to
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Probably.
I have no influence on it. I'm just
yeah.
prognosticating on the
Mhm.
future, and I have a feeling
Yeah.
Mercury was by the wayside, Lincoln's by the wayside, and I believe Caddy isn't going to be
Right.
too much
They're
further.
going to follow Oldsmobile.
This is not going to work.
Yeah. What was it?
GM.
Pontiac Olds. Who else went under with the GM brand?
Saturn.
Oh, yeah, Saturn. That's right.
But if you look at some of the
Yeah.
Japanese companies,
Mhm.
not only is their base company, I wouldn't say Nissan's booming, but they have Infiniti, which is very popular.
Right.
You have Hyundai and Kia have come out with Genesis, which is booming.
Right.
Booming.
Right.
Quality is off the roof.
Right.
It's just fabulous quality. Then you've
Mm.
got Toyota
Toyota.
with Lexus.
Right. And they're doing well with that.
But if you notice, it's never anybody's last name.
That's
And I believe some of this issue,
And the branding.
yes,
Mm.
everyone, Oldsmobile,
Yes.
someone's last name.
Yeah.
Lincoln, someone's last name.
Right.
Mercury, someone's last name.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Everyone
I
has
see a
la-
pattern here.
There's a pattern.
Yeah.
All these bizarre names that
Mm.
Is it Durant bought up from in GM? I think the president was named Durant.
That's correct.
Durant, and I believe he felt more is better.
Yeah.
The more hands you have in your armory or whatever to shoot at to provide services and products is better. And I don't agree with that anymore.
No,
it doesn't work that way.
No, you got to slim down your offering.
Now think about all the big companies out there that exist today in the automobile. Let's just talk cars. Okay. Not one of them is someone's last name. Not that I know of. That's Tesla, but it's going back to a more of a
vintage name. Yes.
Name that has to do with design and engineering and things like that, and not just some farm boy gets lucky and comes up with a car.
Right. It harkens back to a specific
every other. I don't know any car company that except the Conan, that Swedish company that makes some super fast cars that are like
was it Subaru?
Kaizenstein, or I can't think of the name, but Jay Leno owns one of them. That's a Swedish guy that makes 1,000 horsepower supercars, and he sells them at a premium. And he's been in business for quite a long time, but it's his last name. That's the only one I know of.
Oh yeah. So
but Lamborghini though, that was a last name. Ferrari's a last name, but they're super expensive,
right?
And they're the premium that people place on the name with the quality of the car is still there. Right now, it doesn't work. I'm just telling you, it doesn't work. And it's not what I say. It's not what you say. It's what the world buys.
The buying public.
It's just not buying it,
right?
And I almost think, I hate to be the negative guy today, but GM just ain't got it lately.
Yeah,
they don't. It's an average vehicle that an average person would buy, and that's okay. But it's generally not their first choice unless it's a pickup truck, and then they're pretty good.
Right.
But when
Silverado,
car-wise and stuff, I mean, it's not a good choice.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was advising, I own 2 car shops that we repair, Crown Car Care. That's the name of the show. If I have to honestly sit with somebody and tell them, okay, I've got X amount of dollars to spend, one of those choices is certainly going to be a Toyota, a Kia, a Hyundai. They're good cars. If I give them other advice, it would make me look bad. It would be bad advice from me.
Right.
Is Tesla a great car? Yeah, but if it's out of warranty, be prepared to spend some money. They're costly to fix. Teslas are, and a lot of other vehicles are expensive. A Ford's a great car.
Yeah.
Truck. Would you want to buy an electric one from Ford? I don't think so.
Yeah,
at least I wouldn't.
That's not their.
It's not where I'd be sending my customer base, because they'd be ready to boycott They'd have protesters in front of my shops if I gave bad advice like that.
Yeah.
Right? I can't give bad advice. I have to go on what I know.
Yeah.
And what I research and what I fix. And what I don't fix. Right? If I have clientele where all I do is maintain their cars and I don't fix them much, I'm going to tell you the brands: Toyota, Honda, Lexus. I don't fix them that much. Fords are good, but you own Fords. I own Fords.
Yeah,
but they're in the average area.
Yeah,
you start buying the electric ones from these two cats, and you're going to be in deep trouble.
Right.
I'm just telling you, deep trouble.
Yeah, that's just not their bailiwick, is it?
No.
I get it.
And I don't know what. Is the writing on the wall for GM? No, but maybe they've been bailed out how many times?
Yeah.
They've lost their way quite a few. Am I right on that or not?
Right. Yeah. They're. I give them credit that they're looking at.
The name has to change, so you need a different name.
Well, maybe
Cadillac just ain't. It's your grandfather's car.
But they're looking to do different things. Here's another strategy that they're working with that I find interesting. GM is investing in agile manufacturing strategy, which means building their EVs alongside of ICE cars, gasoline vehicles, on the same assembly line.
And that would be akin to a Cadillac that comes with 3 different engine choices, ICE-wise. They're always built on the same line. It's just at that point where the power plant comes in.
Right.
It would be, and now that I'll tell you is that would be good, because electric cars, the infrastructure and how it's made and the wiring is so different.
Yeah.
than an ICE car. But if you could get it down to where all it was the car was the same, except for the choice of the power plant, and then you would decide what you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I always think that, well, the Volt had it right.
Mm-hmm.
It was an ICE motor with an electric unit that was purely electric, and the ICE motor just was a generator.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with these electric cars is, well, if you run out of gas with an ICE car, what do? You bum a ride, go to the gas station, buy a 5-gallon can of gas, and put it in there, and you're on your way.
Right.
You run out with an electric car, it's not happening so fast.
No.
You're down.
Yeah.
For at least a week.
Right.
Because most cars, you have to get it towed, and then you get a lot of vehicles. When they run so low, you just can't plug them in then at that point.
So if you run, this is a good question that I've never had a chance to ask you, but it's a good time to ask it.
Sure.
So if you run your gas tank dry and you're bone dry and you want to put fresh gas in, how easy is it to start it up again?
You have to cycle the key a bunch of times to get the fuel system primed. Because it has an electric pump, it will do it. A diesel, though, is a different story. A diesel, you got air in there. And remember, a diesel, because it's direct injection and just the way diesels are designed, it's not so easy.
Okay.
But a gasoline, for example, let's just say my Mustang or your Ford, Escape.
Right. Sure.
You run out of fuel completely.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, though, running a car really low on fuel, it could blow up.
Wow.
Yeah.
What blow up? The engine?
The gasoline portion of it. Because your electric motor is.
You got a lot of.
Remember
fumes. The air fuel mixture.
It's not the fumes that are combustible. It's when the fumes mix with air. So if you have mainly all air in your gas tank, there's a chance you could get oxygen in there. Not just fumes.
Right.
The whole principle only works if it's only fumes. It never can ignite because your electric fuel pump that's in the tank is the brushes, and the electricity portion of the pump is completely exposed to the fuel. It's what cools and lubricates it. You have to look. I'll do some research on it, but there is, I believe, instances where the gas tank will blow up and the whole car will blow up.
That'll light you up. Wow.
Yes, and also running your fuel tank low on fuel shortens the fuel pump life.
I bet so.
Overheats.
Sure, because it's the right part of the lubricating is
the cooling is the fuel.
Right.
And the only reason it doesn't ignite is there's no oxygen in there because all the vapors from the gasoline are evaporating up, so you don't get any oxygen.
Right.
It's positive. It's positive pressure in there.
Right.
So oxygen, which is out here, is negative, so it never goes in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
a lot of information on that.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay. Another item here. This is actually one of the things that we discussed just prior to airtime. And it says the charging station status is inaccurate more than a quarter of the time, the study says. So anywhere between 25 to 30% of the time, when you go to use a charging station, it may be a no-go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're very inaccurate, your vehicle. There's no real good way to display electricity like fuel.
Yeah.
Fuel has mass,
easily transportable,
has volume,
right?
Has weight, and it's tangible.
Yeah,
electricity is intangible. You can talk about it, you can't touch it.
Not a good plan.
But it's just it's not part of our 4-dimensional world that we live in.
Right.
Electricity. It's involved in it.
Right.
But you can't box it up and contain it and have good measurements for it that are accurate for us average people that would drive a vehicle.
Yeah.
If you're a scientist, you can have all kinds of instruments and measures that will give you exacting numbers with electricity. But with a vehicle, it's very difficult to come up. What's the range with an electric car? Tesla does a pretty good job of it, but there's many people that have complained. They've had many software updates that have is it repaired? I don't know if it's repaired, but adjusted the software to give a more accurate reading. Right. Software a lot of times is involved in recalls, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
In fact, we were just talking about that. Wasn't there a recall that was for Tesla?
There was a recall, and but as I understand it, that recall, they were able to repair most of those vehicles,
All of them,
over air.
Yeah, and I guess Musk was throwing a temper tantrum that it was giving him a black eye, and he didn't want to call it a recall.
Well, right, because
I agree with him somewhat.
It actually affects the price of the stock because
It affects everything.
You see the article, and it says 1.6 million vehicles have been recalled. That means they're going back to the shop.
Yes.
And they really aren't.
Now, if you want to really see a good marker for the quality of a vehicle, with an asterisk next to it,
okay.
Look at how many technical service bulletins have been written on a model year that you're interested in. If it's a mile long, you have to give credit to the company for doing it, because otherwise they would be hiding it.
Right.
But there's a bigger picture here.
Right.
We got a problem. Something is going wrong with their engineering and their execution that's causing too many of these things to hiccup.
Right.
Right. And I'm going to tell you,
like the Boeing Starliner is a good example of that.
Doors fall off, wheels fall off, you name it, it falls off.
Woo.
And there's been testimony now with Boeing that it was deliberate. There was deliberate upper management signing off on inferior titanium.
Oh, you're talking about the aircraft. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible that someone.
Well, and they got one of their spaceships that's attached to the space station right now that's inoperable, and they got 2 astronauts stranded.
Greed and power have an awful way of skewing people's safety and judgment if they're in a position where it's important.
Right.
Politics. Companies, if you're making submarines or aircraft, it's kind of important that everything's accurate.
Yeah.
Right.
Indeed.
Right. But although I saw a commercial where they took a screen door and they painted this gook on there and made a boat out of it.
Yes, they did.
I think they even sell that at Lowe's and Home Depot.
They do.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not really a paint. It's a sealer. It's a flex or something.
Flex seal, and it is like a rubber-based caulking for one of them.
Yeah, real liquidy. Well, it depends on how you buy it.
Yeah, no, it's very heavy viscosity.
And you can make a boat out of it. I've seen it on TV. Late at night, I've seen the ad.
Yes, you have. Okay. Honda's quarterly profit rises to a record high on strong U.S. sales. This goes to what you were saying. Honda's doing very well. But there's also a very weak yen going on. So that's
Honda's the name of the last name of a guy.
Yeah.
Right? They're talking about.
I
don't know if Toyota. I don't think people associate
Toyota.
It is, but because it's a foreign name, I do not think the general
public.
The general consciousness of our society considers it a last name.
Yeah. True. Conceptually.
That's why I guess maybe I'm saying that.
Yeah, I got it.
Because Nissan used to be what was the other? It was Datsun. It used to be Datsun. Datsun.
But it's Datsun.
Oh, Datsun.
Yeah.
That Datsun B210.
Yeah, you want it right away. Datsun.
Datsun. Oh, well, it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh my God. So a man buys a Chevy Camaro that was listed as with a bad engine and transmission, but he thought it was a good idea to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
Yikes. So do your research. So a car rebuild expert bought a Chevrolet Camaro, sight unseen, rated 1.3 out of 5. Not a good rating, 1.3. And the listing had so many red flags that he should have looked on as opposed to penning the deal to buy the vehicle. But so he bought himself a bucket of issues.
Lemons.
Yeah.
If you maintain your vehicle well.
Yes.
You can bypass a lot of what people call this is a bad or crappy or no good car.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, all the vehicles I've owned that my family's owned, we've never had a situation where we got to buy a transmission or the rear end went out.
Right. I know.
Driving habits and maintenance are the markers for how long your vehicle is going to last.
Mm-hmm.
Driving habits and maintenance are everything.
Yeah.
And driving habits are almost as much or more than maintenance.
Yeah.
Do you brake late? if you brake late on
That
everywhere
means
you
you're
drive,
standing on the brake
right? You're
pedal.
braking.
Yeah.
You're not braking early enough because you're not paying attention.
Right.
But even before cell phones, people brake late.
Oh, sure.
What are you going to destroy? The front end's going to be destroyed. Transmission could be affected by it. Clutch could be affected if it's a manual. The brakes themselves can be affected.
You know, wear them out.
Wear everything out because he always does a nosedive, right? And it's not good.
No. Right.
It's you know, we're talking about as much perceived quality as we are actual quality.
Right.
I give credit to Ford for releasing technical service bulletins that are good for the consumer, good for the car. Although I've seen many people have had issues. I believe you had with their gas tanks.
Yes.
Big issues.
The current gas tanks, you know, when you think of a gas tank, you think of aluminum or some sort of metal.
That's correct.
Container.
What are they made of, Frank?
Plastic. Yeah. And I'm
Mhm.
sure it's for a weight issue and probably for non-corrosive issues. So, I mean, there's some positive benefit to plastic. The negative benefit is what, Todd?
It can expand and contract and crack and blow up and leak.
So my car, the Ford Focus,
Yeah,
the one
because you had some issues with it.
So that particular car, it's recommended in the technical journals when you read it that you really don't run that gas tank under a half tank. So you only got a half a tank of gas.
We were just talking about this with the explosion possibility. But yours is for a different reason.
For a different reason, because what happens if you get it under a half tank, then there's a possibility that the plastic bottle with the gas tank collapses.
Yes.
And that's because of the negative pressure.
And you can have leakage issues, cracking issues, and it's a safety issue.
Right. So keep
and you had problems with yours where timing and they wouldn't guarantee some or they did some bizarre thing about we'll do this recall, but if we do it, there's no warranty.
Right.
And that's another issue with recalls. There's no warranty once that's done.
Right. You own it.
Yes.
Yeah. You own the fix. Yeah.
You own it. And there's no recourse.
Yeah.
I mean, there's recourse with anything.
Right. But
get a lawyer or go to court. But.
Right. But they've signed off on it. They said, we've done the fix and then the rest is up to you.
I remember at the time we were on the radio and we had we talked about several shows. We've talked about this.
Yeah. It was quite a process of kind of sorting through that. And then for me,
I would say you're a informed consumer.
I try to be.
Well, yeah, but we do a radio show together. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you started with me, when we first started, you've always been smarter than I am with cars. And now at this point, I'm catching up to you. And that is the fact. You knew quite a bit. You know a lot. Yeah. You knew many things, Frank, that I don't know about with the car world.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's true, though. It really is. You know,
growing up in Detroit,
history. There's a lot of things that you know.
Yeah.
You know how to throw a fastball, too, that I don't know how to do. Okay. I never played with the Detroit Tigers. You did.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've never had the opportunity to play pro ball.
I didn't either.
Well, that's not what the pictures say. We've got photographic evidence.
Oh, yes.
And we also have photographic evidence of Roswell.
Yes. Exactly.
Let's take a break and then we'll come back.
Okay, fair enough. We'll be right back, so stick with us. We have much more to cover. We're going to talk about muffler bearings when we return.
Buick Fauci, with built-in GPS that's got you covered wherever you go.
Fauci, I'd like to drive to the bank.
That's a good reason for a mask. Other GPS systems make driving predictable, but when it comes to giving directions, the Fauci can't make up its mind.
Fauci, take me to Macy's.
I don't think we have enough information to do that, quite honestly.
Driving in bad weather is never an issue because the Fauci doesn't follow the science. It follows the teachers' unions.
Fauci, I need to drop my kid off at school.
I totally disagree with you.
The Buick Fauci, the car that's been locking down the competition for over a year.
Fauci, can you show me how to get to the theater?
Here we go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts.
Let's get down to the facts. Just the facts, please. Just the facts.
That is a car riddled with
Issues.
dishonesty.
Some deep issues.
Right.
Yes.
Deep, yes. Well, you know what the front of it looks like?
Yeah.
Looks like a blue mask. That's what the grill looks like.
Yeah. A surgical mask.
Yeah, and the straps wrap around the fender wells.
Oh, I like it.
That's how I.
Oh, it's like a bra.
Yeah, like a bra, but it's a mask.
I had a Toyota. I think it was a Toyota.
You want a Toyota?
I had, I forget. I bought it from my brother-in-law, and it was I can't. Anyways,
Didn't you own a vehicle made at the NUMMI plant when GM was with Toyota?
from the NUMMI plant.
It was the new United Auto Workers. It was out in Fremont where Tesla is now, where they make theirs.
Really?
Yeah, it was a joint effort between Chevrolet or GM and
Yes.
Toyota, and they shared platforms actually. Back in the I don't know, late 70s, early 80s.
Oh yeah, I heard about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
NUMMI plant is what it was. I used to live by there.
Ah,
But that's where Musk is.
that's where
You know, Musk is going to be interviewing the one of our presidential candidates for the upcoming election here coming up.
Nice.
He is. I think it's Donald Trump.
That'll be must see TV.
Wonder where it's going to be at. Going to be at Mar-a-Lago.
Could be.
Yeah, Mar-a-Lago.
I bet you. You know what? If Musk was smart, they'd do the interview in Texas at the
Yes.
Tesla plant.
Yes. You know, he's pulling out of California.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know one company that isn't pulling out of California. It's
Yeah.
if the rules are too heavy,
Yeah.
it's you can compete and succeed, but if it's too difficult, do you know there's like in downtowns, a lot of these cities, it's become so difficult with theft that a
Mhm.
lot of these like Walgreens and CVX, they're all closing up.
Right.
Target's the same way. Apparently, there's now laws in California where if you steal under a certain amount, you can't prosecute or arrest them. Well, what about the poor business owner
Right.
trying to compete? I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like here, like that. And you know, stopping the ability to conduct business
Mm-hmm.
is difficult, not only for the business but the consumer as well. Because
Right.
what happens to prices? They go up. Prices go up.
They do.
They go up. Now, we were talking about maintenance. How do you make your car last forever? Well, there's no answer for that.
No.
I mean, you can. I said I've never had big issues with my vehicles. You've never really had big issues. I mean, big where it's
Right.
break the bank big.
Right.
I get them in on a daily basis in my business. You know,
Yeah, and it's tough.
it's tough to even deal with it because
Right.
you're a psychiatrist too.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yes.
It's tough. And how do you preach maintenance? You ease into it slow is all
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
You start getting people thinking. And it's
Mhm.
important to do maintenance. And at Crown Car Care at both my locations, we preach maintenance and we're aces at repair. We're not perfect, but we're always trying, always fixing, and always each day getting smarter and smarter with these newer vehicles so we keep up to date, which is important. Up to date. Imagine if you went into a paint store and they didn't know about latex.
Right.
You have to learn, change with the times, and we do that at both my
Mhm.
repair shops.
Mhm.
I don't know. You know a lot about paint and wallpaper. It's changed, hasn't it? Isn't some of the formulations different? And
So, yeah, things. Some things have changed. A lot of the silliness continues. Meeting the EPA
Well,
It's
they've
just
got.
like
I've
the
heard
other
they've
ones.
got some super paint now that's you don't have to do anything but paint. It comes with primer, it comes
Oh,
with
yeah,
everything,
it's just
right?
magic. Yeah.
It's I've heard, and I heard it's 10 times the price. But
Yeah. It's amazing.
I like oil-based paint myself.
I got a color chart I saved for you.
Oh, you did?
Just strictly oil-based.
I like
stuff.
oil paint.
Yes.
You know why? It flows.
Yes.
And it lays flat and sheen. It just has a level surface.
So the molecular structure for oil-based paint is much tighter, so that's why when you go to put it on, you get better coverage because you get greater density.
I'm an oil-based guy.
Yeah.
It's hard to find though.
No. Yes,
Rust-Oleum still sells it.
they do.
Oh,
They do
because
indeed.
it's a rust inhibitor.
Yes.
I'm going to say within the last 2 years, I bet I've done 15 shows on maintenance.
Wow.
But here's some of the ones that I'm going to talk about that are what I call the forgotten maintenance. This
Okay.
was the title of this show. It may have to creep into next week's because
Well, we got time.
we do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go through a list. I have 8 items here.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
The first item is power steering. Many people forget that power steering needs maintenance. Even, new cars have electric, or not all of them do, but still 70% of the cars on the road still use a power steering fluid.
Sure.
It gets dirty. In fact, I argue it's next to oil. Gets the dirtiest of any of the oils and fluids with transmission. Power steering fluid is critical to keep it maintained. It causes leaks. It causes noises. The pumps wear out when they if you get grit and dirt inside that power steering fluid from the hoses breaking down, the seals, the hot, cold, the burning of the oil, the breaking down of the viscosity, and the hidden damage to oil that no one talks about is the oxidation of oil. Oxidation of oil is what destroys motors and power steering pumps and transmissions and differentials and all that.
Mhm.
Power steering fluid is a relatively inexpensive maintenance item, under $200. Wow. Okay, so in today's world, 10 years ago, that was a lot of money.
Right.
Now it's not. Well, it is, but in relative terms, it's not.
Right.
Maintenance on power steering is very easy. You pull out the old fluid while at the same time putting in the new. We have machines that, it's not 100%, but it's a 1-for-1. You pull out the old and the new is being pushed in.
Right.
So the new pushes the old out, and by the time you're done, you got 90% new. And there's different fluid types. All different fluid types for the different manufacturers. They're all different.
And it eliminates air bubbles by doing it that way.
It eliminates air bubbles and eliminates cross-contamination, and you're just getting a fresh, clean service. It really is just nice.
Yeah.
It can eliminate noises. It prevents leaks. It's just good. Okay. Many people, number 1, forgotten maintenance.
Yes.
Number 2 is the muffler bearing.
Yes.
Now, where is that located, Frank? I have yet to learn where that is.
My
After
guess
40
is-
years of fixing cars, I can't find it.
I'm guessing it's somewhere under the car.
I don't know where it's at.
It says the muffling bearings are, this is according to Google. So
Yes.
this is Quora, Quora is the website that
Yes.
answers questions.
Uh-huh.
I guess that would be your queries.
Queries.
Yes. And the muffler bearings are a type of bearing that is used to support the weight of a muffler. They
Okay.
help to keep the muffler in place.
One of my first jobs, some of the technicians in the shop said, "Don't forget to check the muffler bearing."
Right.
It's now 2024, and I still don't know where it's at.
Found it yet.
I haven't found it.
Now, I always knew that there were hangers that hang from the frame.
Yeah, but I never knew there was a bearing.
Yeah,
Maybe I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either.
Except I've completely disassembled cars,
Yeah.
and I don't know where it's at.
But so this could be like a Google faux pas.
This could be a gag joke.
Yes.
I've been many years now.
Yes.
I've been thinking those technicians that said that don't forget to check it. I think they were tricking me.
Yes.
And I believe we may be tricking our listening audience right now, if I'm not mistaken.
think
I
so.
believe this is a spoof.
It could very well be. When I was a snot-nosed kid in
Mhm.
Fresno, so I'm just show up out of Detroit into Fresno, right?
California?
Yeah, and
I've
so
been there.
I'm working in the company store in Fresno, and so the senior sales guys hand me a can of aluminum paint.
Mm.
All right.
Mhm.
And he says, "Oh, we got a customer coming in. Shake this up for the customer." So what is the one thing you're not supposed to do to aluminum paint?
Shake it up.
Shake it up, because
Oh.
it'll blow up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they got you good.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I didn't do it.
But they were trying to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They tried to get me.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So you got to pay attention.
Okay, that was a spoof, the muffler bearing.
Yes.
Yeah, I figured it out. They're just tricking everybody.
Right.
Or trying to.
Right.
Transfer case is my number 2.
Okay.
Forgotten maintenance. And I think this is a good list because many people forget this stuff.
Yeah.
The transfer case. Do you know, Frank, what a transfer case is?
Transfer case would
4-wheel drive.
Uh-huh. Okay. So it changes it from 2-wheel to 4-wheel.
Correct.
Yeah.
It transfers the to a front. Well, if it's front wheel drive, it puts it to the back.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's rear wheel drive, it puts it to the front simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
I bet a lot of people didn't know that on front wheel drive cars. When it's 4-wheel drive, it's the back wheels that gain the powertrain movement or the
push.
The push.
Yeah.
Whereas typically, like pickup truck, no, I'm gonna say it always. Like a Ford Maverick is front wheel drive.
Yeah.
The 4-wheel drive would be the back. Typically, it's the rear wheel drive typically, and then when you transfer to 4-wheel drive, it puts engine torque and rotation of the drive shaft up to the front as well.
Correct.
There's a fluid inside there.
Wow.
If you don't maintain the fluid on your your GM new process transfer case, what will happen is it gets so dirty and nasty, it ends up beating all the bushings out of the tail shaft where the drive shaft goes in, and you end up completely destroying the transfer case. And it's a known issue.
Wow.
What prevents it? Maintenance.
Yes.
Maintenance.
Right.
So many times let's say an engine's prone to, we'll take the Theta motor with Hyundai and Kia. Okay. It's we could do 2 shows on it. Huge recalls on it. But if you maintain the oil regularly and don't beat the heck out of it like a snot-nosed kid would, shaking aluminum cans, you're going to have a good motor.
Right.
So when it's taken to the extreme, a lot of times the defects show up.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the average, you might not see the problem.
Right. Because you're not beating it up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Next
All right.
item, the differential front and rear. Okay. What's that? Differential. What does that do? Takes rotational, changes directions by 90 degrees.
Right. So it gives you that. I think they used to call that. Is that same thing as positraction?
No, ring and pinion.
Yeah.
Positraction means both wheels spin at the same time.
Right.
There was a famous movie called My Cousin Vinny.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yes, it was about a positraction on a GTO.
Right.
Or no, it was a Tempest, I believe.
It's correct.
It was a Tempest.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe those Herman Munster was the judge.
He was.
Wasn't he?
Yes.
He was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I love
it
that.
was one of my favorite shows, the Munsters.
Yes.
And I like the Addams Family too.
Mhm.
Although that was a little bit more highbrow humor.
Yes.
More adult, sophisticated.
I think so.
But it was still funny.
It was very funny. Good
Gomez
stuff.
was his name.
Yes. And Morticia was his wife.
And the Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester. Yes.
And then there was a hand called Thing.
Yeah. Right.
Cousin It was a big hairball.
Has everybody fully comprehended why Uncle Fester could put a light bulb in his mouth to make it light
I
up?
don't know.
Right?
He was a nuclear power plant. We have a caller.
Oh, look at that. We got.
What's that light?
I think that's telling us we got a caller.
Oh,
Okay. You're on the air, caller.
It was a tempest in the skylark.
Yes.
oh yeah.
Thank you, Deb. Yes, that's exactly
Now,
right.
how did you know that was her?
Traction on one of them, it would have spun, and the other it didn't spin.
Right.
So she got it right, Miss Vito.
Right.
Yes.
Vito. Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Me
And
too.
every time it comes on, I watch the last hour of it because that's the best. I mean, it's all the best show.
Yeah.
It is.
But
That's the best show when she nails it.
yes.
And they think that she's just a dumb girl.
Right.
Yes. We haven't. They don't make it. We always hear we don't make movies like that, but that style of movie I don't see lately coming out. It's those not
No,
like
they're
late
not
'90s
fun.
movies. Yeah, that movie was just fun. Right.
It was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun, like Overboard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a fun movie.
right.
You know, there's a lot of they don't make them
Goldie
anymore.
Hawn,
It's all
right?
There was
they
another
say
movie, Weekend with Bernie, I think it was
Yeah.
called.
Bernie.
Yeah. Well, we've been living that for the past almost 4 years.
Yeah, Weekend with no
Whoa.
politics.
Isn't that where they put the grandmother or something on the top of the car because she died?
Oh, that was Vegas. Or
Yeah.
no, that was
The Family Vacation.
Family Vacation. Oh,
that was Chevy
okay.
Chase. Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
That was his mother-in-law.
That was another good
Yeah,
one.
they went to their relative's house and they had
Imogene Coca, I believe, was.
they would have a hamburger helper without the hamburger.
Right.
Yikes.
That was funny.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that's my little tidbit. You guys.
Well,
have
thank
a
you
great
so
night.
much.
Thanks, Deb. See you on
Thanks.
Friday.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
next item,
All right.
drive shaft yoke.
Drive shaft.
What the heck? And this is real.
Mm-hmm.
The yoke of a drive shaft is what attaches to the back of the
if
transmission.
it falls on you while you're working on it, is the yoke on you?
Well, here's something.
All right.
If you've ever driven a pickup truck and you come to a stop,
Yes.
and when you give it gas, you feel this like rubbery bounce as you accelerate. That's the yoke catching up with the torque and the rear end pivoting and twisting when you give it gas. And that slight bit of bind in the splines of the yoke and the transmission output tail shaft, they stick slightly and it causes a stoppage of that movement and you can feel it. And they make a light green Teflon grease that you stick on the inside of the yoke and it lubricates it.
Wow.
And it prevents and stops that. I have wowed many customers at Crown Car Care. You know, they'll come in for like a tune-up or some maintenance, and I'll fix that and not say nothing. And they'll call back within the hour and say, "What did you do? I've never felt anything run so good in my life." And all I did was, I did a tune-up, and I lubricated the yoke on the drive shaft. It's once you fix it, it blows people away that they could have gotten rid of that. They thought it was just a car getting old, and it's not the case. You lubricate the tail shaft yoke. So
nice.
Yeah, easy fix.
Nice.
Forgotten maintenance. That's what I'm talking about here.
Nice.
Front end components are forgotten maintenance in terms of when you go in for an oil change. Do you know that many vehicles today, 2024, still have some Zerk fittings on some things on the front end to be lubricated, and no one knows it's there?
No.
I can guarantee you, if you go to one of these oil change places, not only that, they don't even know about it.
Or wouldn't know how to service it.
Oh, I can tell you this: most heavy-duty pickup trucks like F-250 and up, there's always a couple of items on the front end that are with Zerk fittings. And if you don't know what Zerk fitting is, it's just a little teeny.
It's like a nipple.
It's a nipple and has a spring-loaded ball on the end, like a ballpoint pen, and the pressure of the grease pushes the ball in that's spring-loaded, allows the grease to go in, and then when you're done, the ball pops back out, seats itself.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
But there are many Zerk fittings on vehicles that no one knows about.
Right.
Because nobody looks it up and no one checks it. But at Crown Car Care, we do check it. We're not perfect.
Nope.
No. First to admit it. But at least we know that we're striving to be perfect.
Right.
And striving to be perfect is what matters.
That's half the battle.
It's more than half. It's what matters in the world with my business. You have to try.
Yeah.
If you don't try to win, you'll never win, will you?
We're going to take a regulation timeout.
Absolutely.
We'll be back in about a half a minute, so stick with us.
Oh. She's acceptable, Your Honor.
That was Marissa Tomei. I was trying to find this exact part of the clip, but I have to be very careful because there's some language in that movie, My Cousin Vinny. So,
yes. Now, wasn't Marissa Tomei, I think many teenage boys had a heartthrob for her. She was considered in that era quite popular.
1964, the correct ignition timing would be 4 degrees before top dead center.
So this is when they're wiring her
Well.
to make sure she was a good
Oh,
candidate.
she's acceptable, Your Honor.
Anyways, so yeah, but if I could find the right clip, I'll play it maybe another
And
time.
then what's the other guy that came in that was like the mafia guy that was the uncle or something? The guy that came with her to save the kid. And the actor, he was like the uncle or something. The boy called this guy, and
he's the cousin. He's the cousin, Vinny.
Yeah.
And she is his fiance.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay,
Yeah. She's Vinny's
I
fiance.
forgot. And then
Yes.
Herman Munster's the judge.
Correct. Yes.
He's a big guy. Did you know in that show, the Munsters, he wore these giant platform shoes?
To make himself taller.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Exaggerate
talking
his height?
like this height. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, he walked stiffly too, which was kind of added to the mystique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. Cool.
So fabulous.
right.
Okay, next item.
Yes.
Up. We talked about front end components. All locks and latches. When you go for an oil change, do you have anybody ever spray some silicone or white grease on your door latches, make them open and close nice?
That'd be nice to do.
Oh, it makes your doors work like butter.
Right.
Butter. It's a big deal.
Yeah, especially if you ever go through a storm and there's a lot of salt.
Yeah, or
in the
car
wa-
washes. Car washes are
Yes.
recycled water. I
But
mean,
after a hurricane storm,
things rust.
oh yes,
Yes.
and the salt is just instantly corrosive within on any
Yes.
metal
Oh,
surface.
sure.
Yeah.
Just like I'm sure is going on over there with OSHA open with the hurricanes over there in Tampa area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
Locks and latches. Forgotten maintenance. Next item. We've talked about this, cabin filters. Most people don't even know they have cabin filters.
Right. Or where they're located.
And how many?
Yeah.
Some of them, there's 3 of them.
Oh my God.
Some BMWs and Mercedes have 3 of them.
Because 1 or 2 is just not enough.
Here's some trivia for what's the very first automobile? Well, I'm going to say the very first automobile that I've ever heard of, seen, and actually touched that had a HEPA filtration system on the car.
Oh.
Take you guess who owned it?
Tesla. No.
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes. Really?
Oh, I've seen
Oh
the
yeah,
car.
he was a germaphobe.
I've seen the car.
Yeah.
When I was in Las Vegas for a automobile training convention, there was a car museum. It was upstairs at some hotel or fancy place.
All right.
And lo and behold, there it was a 1950s 4-door. I don't know the brand, make, and model, but the entire trunk was a gigantic HEPA filtration system with air conditioning. Honest to goodness.
Wow.
And
He
it
was
took up a
serious.
whole trunk.
Yeah. I bet so.
He never clipped his nails. That's what I heard.
What was his thinking on that?
Psychosis.
Yeah.
I believe it was just something happened.
Something. Yeah. He flipped out.
Yeah, he flipped out. Well, you know what he designed and built his team? The Glomar Explorer.
How about yes, but I think his most notable thing was the Spruce Goose.
Yes.
I
all wood.
loved that.
And I'll tell you what made him his money.
Yes.
It's a thing. He started reoccurring revenue before anybody else did.
Right.
His father started Hughes Drill and Bit Corporation.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they didn't sell drills to the oil wells. They leased them.
Recurring revenue.
One of the first.
Yeah.
I'm serious. This is serious talk here.
Yeah.
Reoccurring revenue.
Yeah.
Back in the 40s and 30s.
Nice.
Howard Hughes' father
Smart.
leased drill bits.
Smart.
Pretty smart.
Yeah.
Then he got into the government contracts.
Yeah.
Just like giant sucking sound going to Mexico. Who was that guy who ran for president?
Oh, yeah.
Ross Perot.
Ross Perot.
He made his money off of check processing for the Social Security Administration. ADP or ADT or something like that. I've played on his golf course.
Nice.
Down in Texas. Good friend of my dad's worked for him. So next item, people.
Yes.
I have it for number 8, but I had switched it to number 2. The muffler bearing.
Yes.
The muffler bearing.
Yes.
And it's elusive.
It's elusive. I love that. It's elusive. We still can't
Find
find
it.
it.
It's like the dodo bird. I want to go get me a dodo bird. They say they existed. You ever heard of a dodo bird?
Yes, of course, and it really does exist.
Well,
It's
go get me one.
It's insane.
Find me one.
I think it's somewhere in what?
They're extinct.
Yes,
They're extinct.
but I think they found
Oh, really?
evidence of one in Easter Island.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Doesn't Easter Island have those gigantic statues?
Yes.
That no one can figure out how they got there.
Yes.
It's fascinating, actually.
Yes. It's more questions than answers.
I have a lot of questions about Oak Island. Have you ever heard of Oak Island?
Yes.
You have.
2 boys from Michigan are working there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they did put a lot of their own money up at first.
Yes. Now they got what? They got
All
investors.
kinds of they do find some stuff.
Yeah. Cool stuff.
They heard it. I believe it was the Knights Templar
Yes.
that did it.
Could be.
Because there was man-made booby traps.
Yes.
They would build channels into the water at high and low tide. It would fill up and it would flood out the cavity
Right.
that you were digging down.
Yeah.
Fascinating. They have found some gold and silver, I believe. Some
Uh,
nuggets. They found a cross, I think, some other things. Just fascinating story.
yeah. Buttons from military uniforms.
Yeah. I love this. They had a guy that would do the metal detector from England. He
Yeah.
had earrings. Funny guy. They had some funny characters
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
Just
But yeah, I love those. Lugano, I think, is their last
yeah, that's
name.
it. They're from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the only good that's come out of Michigan. Where are you from?
Michigan.
Oh, well, the second thing, good thing. I don't think Michigan's got a sports team worth a hoot, do they?
No, sadly, no.
What
But I
happened
don't
to-
know. We got to wait till football season.
Yeah, how
right
the
now.
Taggers doing? The poor
They're
Taggers.
sucking wind right
We've
now.
seen them play
Yes.
twice.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll do better. I don't know.
The second time, you and I almost got arrested.
Yeah,
They're carrying in Cracker Jack.
yes. We were carrying.
Yeah, we were carrying, all right. Cracker Jack.
Yes.
Well, so that was my last item for forgotten maintenance. There's other items. The biggest thing are your liquids. Anything that's a liquid on a car. Change it, maintain it, and don't just follow the manufacturer's recommendations. Use what's common sense. Common sense tells you that coolant should not last 100,000 miles. Common sense tells you that it's not going to last. We can't make anything that lasts that long. It gets acidic, it oxidizes, and it destroys things.
Yeah.
Change your coolant every 50,000 miles or less. Or less.
Yeah.
Lubricate all your Zerk fittings. Change your differential fluid. Lubricate your drive shaft yokes. Lubricate all your seals around your doors.
Yes.
With silicone spray. Or even of a Vaseline on a rag and just wipe it.
Yeah.
Wax your glass inside and out. That's a tip I've been saying.
I love that. Yeah.
It really makes a difference, doesn't it? It stops down on that steam that happens in the morning.
Righto. Yes, it does.
Good show.
Yes. And we'll look forward to doing it again here next week, right here on Crown Car Care Power Hour. Give Todd and his staff a call at 781-8000 so that they can look after your car. We'll see you again. Take care.